Welcome to the artwork of CP, everyone. If I sound really tired and agitated, first of all, Happy New Year. Second of all, I don't know how many hours of sleep I'm on because in Arizona, where I'm living right now, I don't live in Aspen, Colorado anymore. For those of you that are just tuning in, we'll explain why I guess in January at some point why I'm not living in Aspen, Colorado. But in Arizona, where I live now, I'm not kidding, they shut off fireworks starting at 7 p.m. And then when I got up to go to the bathroom at midnight, they were doing it all over again. And apparently there was gunshots too. Now this is the capital of Arizona I'm in. And this gunshots and fireworks and Lynn doesn't like loud noises nor does Danielle. So gunshots and fireworks, I just feel like it's going to be an interesting day. But Happy New Year's anyways, because we're here, we're doing what we can. And for those of you that don't know, I'm going to say something that has been on my heart since 2019. And maybe this is a kid friendly episode. Maybe you guys can have a good conversation about don't touch my body. Maybe I don't know, because for those, yeah, let's start having the conversation of don't touch my body. And this is where I'll begin. Don't touch my body starts in basically school age kids. They tell kids kids not to have strangers touch their body, or not to have family members touch their body in schools. And so by the time it gets to sex ed and yes, I said sex ed, the birds and bees have got to stop. By the time I was of the period age, which I got my period at 16, 15, 16, young. And so by the time I was at period age, I knew what was going to happen. My mom was, God bless her, she was very upfront with me as to what was going to happen. She explained what was going to happen. So when I got sexually abused and emotionally abused, and my witness, who we talk on and off, were a little bit better now than we were in 2019 when the incident first happened. Even though I was such in a state of shock that I didn't say get out of my house. Now, because it was a private property and because it was my godmother who did it, my abuser is my godmother, by the way. And I can finally admit that my abuser is my godmother, and I can finally admit that. I don't have to say I have abuser in my life. It's actually my godmother, who happens to be my mom's youngest sister. Youngest sister abuses me. Great. And so I didn't realize until because I knew it was private property, and because I thought it was a family member, I didn't realize you could always say get out of my house to anyone, including a family member. And so that's when, and I know it's a low percentage of women that abuse other women. And I know this because I've spoken to people about this. And so, but it's a high percentage of people that have disabilities that get emotionally and physically abused by pretty much by their caregivers, even if you give, even if you have the background checks, and even if you have everything planned out, you never know what's going on behind the scenes. So I would say to those of you who do have full-time aides and you're thinking, and granted, whenever I tell this story, it's people automatically think it's the aides that did it because the aides get a bad rap. The aides always get a bad rap. And so in my case, it was a family member that did it. The aide witnessed it. The aide was the first one to do a public statement before my stepmom and before my stepsister did a public statement, because the aide was with me and did that day. And I remember that day so distinctly because I had 2 podcasts to record the day that we went to, myself and my aide, because they pulled me in for a couple seconds, and they, I said, well, the first words out of my mouth were, I think you should call my stepmom. And they go, well, we've already called your stepmom to let her know what's going on. And I knew it was emotional and physical abuse. And so, and the thing I wanted to tell you is that, and it's come to public knowledge, that my family is so hands off, it's not even funny. And I don't care if my family hears this. I don't care if I get backlash for this. My family is so hands off. So for those of you that are family caregivers and bring a aide in, and you feel like something sneaky is going on towards the aide and towards your loved one, I would say get cameras. I would just say get cameras in your house. Go confront the aide. Now, that the abuser is not going to tell you what has happened, but you can at least get, by the grace of God, I had 1, 2, 3, 4 witnesses, except the fourth witness left. So 4 witnesses, 4 witnesses, about to, 3 of them noticed the emotional and physical abuse, and 1 of them just stood there, which happened to be my aunt, which happened to be my mom's other sister, just stood there, and I didn't feel to fire, as you guys know. And so when you think something is suspicious going on with your aides, and you're in that house with a loved one, and I don't care if it's uncle coming to visit, I don't care if it's a family member coming to visit, because it's a low likelihood of the females abusing another male, abusing another female, sorry. And it's a higher likelihood that the males will do it. And it's a higher likelihood that if you're unable to get away because of your disability, studies have shown that the disabled are more likely to get emotionally and physically abused. I happen to get emotionally and physically abused as an adult, not as a child, not as a child, but I've always had no stranger danger whatsoever. Me talk to the bus drivers, me talk to everyone. But if anyone comes and touches me now, there's only a couple people in my life that can give me hugs. There's only a couple people in my life, and one happens to be sitting across the screen. And so there's only a couple people in my life that can give me hugs because of that. And in 2023, I'm actually going to try and work on with my counselor, breaking down the barriers of not only aid management, but breaking down the barriers of emotional and physical abuse, just because of just because it's time for me to start receiving hugs again from those I want to receive hugs from, and those people know who they are. And I happen to have one sitting in class this grade for me, who I miss dearly. And don't get me wrong about that. And when we saw each other last year in July, she climbed into my lap like, "Don't let me go," and in a Danny doll costume at that. And so she climbed into my lap and said, "Don't let me go," and hugged me for about a good 20 minutes in a Danny doll costume, and basically acted like she had not seen me in 2 years, which is true. She saw me in 2019, and then I left, and then the pandemic happened, and then all that stuff happened. So yes, she's allowed to give me hugs. And so basically, what I wanted to say, and then we'll talk about the podcasting goals at a later date. We're going to talk about the yeah, well, you need to be brave enough to do that. And so, yeah. And so we're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about the podcast goals at a later date. So how this is going to work is, no, the podcast isn't going away. And number one, the podcast isn't going away. And number two, it's going to be Danny Doll next week. Podcast goals the week after that. And then Danielle, are you gonna be brave enough to tell your story after we talk about podcasting goals?
Yeah.
Okay, so Danielle will tell her story. I don't even know this story after after I came out about my emotional abuse. Danielle kind of held it to a text message and said, I have a story to admit publicly too, based upon what you're talking about. So it's going to be Danny Doll. It's what we're doing for that. It's going to be podcasting goals, and then it's going to be Danielle's story on based on what I have talked about. And yeah, if you see anything suspicious, anything going on around the AIDS, please tell someone, and please make someone be a witness. I am lucky enough that I had 3 to 4 witnesses, as I said, but still that wasn't enough. And I reported her, and my family, and this is their quote, we think it's silly that our sister now is arrested because of your emotional abuse. Why didn't you report it? And my family is so hands off, it's not even funny. And no, I did not decide this. My team, one member of my team decided this. I knew it in my heart. I knew it that I knew it in my heart that my family was hands off. And then the emotional abuse started in 2010. It was the bigger deal in 2019, but the emotional abuse started the day my mom died, basically the day my mom died. And so I do not care if my family hears this. I do not care whoever hears this. I just want to put out my story, and I just want to say that if things go wonky, do something about it. And then if also another thing is the fireworks. As I said, I live in Arizona now. I don't live in Colorado anymore, so I live in Arizona. But someone that's not me, and I'll down the yellow pop it in the show notes, is trying to stop the fireworks in general in Arizona because apparently they and we've had poor air quality out here too. So apparently they start in December and don't give up until January. And disabilities, people with disabilities, especially people with chronic pain, and people with disabilities and people with the camp of short fuses because of their disabilities. People with neurological conditions can't handle loud noises. And so that's why we're all trying to have a peaceful New Year, but at the same time, I don't want to be I don't want to be the woman that says get off my lawn. But at the same time, it's interesting because a lot of people are complaining about it. So we're in the process of people are signing a petition as of today, which I signed, to ban fireworks completely. I don't know how that will go over. But if you guys want to take the time and help me out, that would be great. And next week, we're going to talk about another petition. Why is this turning into the petition? Joe, why is this? You're laughing at me because of my last statement, but next week we're going to try and we are going to, I shouldn't say try, because we are going to talk about another petition that Little Miss Danielle started, and 100 signatures, including mine. So we'll get into that, why, and
today nothing invited me to a town hall meeting, so I say to my family.
awesome, but we need to explain why you did this petition, and that's what we're going to do next week. And so today we talked about banning fireworks. Oh my God. Oh my God. We're raising awareness for cerebral palsy, you guys. Trust me, in odd ways. In odd ways. Thank you very much. In odd ways. But next week we're going to talk about Danny Doll, and we're going to talk about Danny Doll is Danielle's clown name, by the way. And so we're going to talk about the Danny Doll and the position and what Danielle's trying to do behind the scenes. She's ready to talk about it. And then we're going to talk about the podcast goals, and then get into the nitty-gritty stuff again. And then we're going to try and talk about the fun stuff. And I hope that 2023 is a year of peace. I hope that we all start recovering from 2020. Yes, I mentioned 2020. And I just hope that people have a good year and just carry on. And so happy New Year, you guys. Thank you for following us. And thank you for joining in the fun. And here we go on another wild adventure. New Year's wise, here we go on another wild adventure with the podcast. And thank you for supporting us. And Danielle, do you want to lead us out? Thank you for following us. Thanks, you guys. Bye, you guys. See you next week.